Analysis of penalty kicks at the end of the World Cup and European Nations Cup. This program includes the following parts. 1. Introduction. 2. The importance of judging penalty kicks at the end of the game. 3. Chance in penalty kicks. 4. The difference between penalties during the game and penalty kicks at the end of the game. 5. Which teams are more successful in penalty kicks at the end of the game? Comparison of the top 10 teams in the world. 6. Investigating and analyzing the role and influence of coaches in the plan and schedule of penalty kicks at the end of the game. 7. Review and analysis of Arrigo Sacchi's theory on penalty kicks at the end of the game. 8. Examining and analyzing the role of players and goalkeepers. 9. Statistics and information related to penalty kicks at the end of the game. 10. Theory, planning and goal setting. 11. Practical exercises. Introduction. The results of some football matches, even in very prestigious tournaments such as the World Cup, Cup of Nations, the Championship Cup of Clubs, is determined by penalty kicks. This is the law of football, and penalty kicks are part of football. Some football matches have their results determined in the legal time, which is 90 minutes, and even overtime is not determined. There are several ways to finish the match and draw the results. A coin toss. This method is completely random and almost obsolete in official competitions. B. Replay. This method is used in some countries, such as the England FA Cup. But it is not possible in prestigious competitions where the planning and organization of the competition has been determined in advance or for other reasons. C. Penalty kicks. The importance of reviewing penalty kicks at the end of the game. Reaching the World Cup championship is a dream for the nation and the players of many countries. They plan for years. Extensive preparations see them incur huge expenses to reach a place in the World Cup. Sometimes these same teams are eliminated from the tournament by penalty kicks on the way. Or on the contrary, they win the championship with penalty kicks. For example, the Brazilian football team's championship in the 1994 World Cup, or the Italian team's championship in the 2006 World Cup. In the current situation, technology is at the service of football coaches and experts. All the movements of the players are evaluated by the computer using modern science. Different soccer systems are analyzed. The most experienced nutritionists are employed by clubs. Clubs bear a lot of expenses for hiring experts and coaches. Big money is given to authentic players. All these conditions to improve the quality of the football game, attracting spectators and generating revenue for the club, and finally achieving success and victory in the competition fields. If we accept that penalty kicks are a part of the football game, then it is worth examining these penalty kicks carefully. Chances in penalty kicks. In this case, there are different opinions. Every football expert or coach gives his opinion according to his experience, but the basic question is why a professional player who receives millions of dollars should not be different from a local player in playing penalty kicks. Be it or football coaches. Why are penalty kicks not systematically taught, or due to the importance of the subject, compared to other football tactics, have they been investigated less? In the final penalty shootout, a mistake will determine the winner of the match, and there will be no opportunity to make up for the mistake. A mistake in playing a penalty kick or a great save by the goalkeeper will determine the winner. So it is necessary to prepare for kicks. Penalty in the field of several issues such as information and data of previous games, planning and goal setting, how to choose players, order of selection of players, stressful issues, etc., should be thoroughly investigated. Having a purposeful plan and program in the penalty shootouts of the last game can only be obtained through the knowledge of the information and statistics of the previous games. Without information and knowledge of statistics and information of previous games, it is not possible to plan and set goals. Not having a specific plan and goal means opening your arms to luck. If you want luck not to be involved, you must plan and aim based on accurate information on penalty statistics. The manner and order of selecting players, stressful issues, and should be examined and analyzed. A. The chance of a penalty kick. A penalty with a high probability means a goal. If a goal is not scored, the penalty taker is to blame. In a goal with an area of 17.46 square meters, there are places that even if the goalkeeper knows in advance which way the penalty taker will hit the ball, he will not be able to catch the ball provided that the accuracy of the shot and the speed of the ball are in a better situation. B. Chance from the goalkeeper's point of view. In fact, the penalty kick is a great situation for the penalty taker, and it is one of the worst and frustrating situations for the goalkeeper. In penalty kicks, the goalkeeper cannot be expected to stop the ball. It just depends on the goalkeeper's luck. The only technique that great goalkeepers use to block the penalty kick is to shoot before the penalty kick. The goalkeeper guesses which way the ball is likely to go. Then, at the same time as the cannon is shot or even before that, he dives in the same direction if the goalkeeper is lucky. The ball will come in the same direction, otherwise the ball will go in or out of the goal. The difference between penalties during the game and penalties at the end of the game. There is a high percentage of success in penalties during the game, because experienced players and team indicators are used in penalty kicks. Every club has 2 or 3 key players who have enough experience in penalty kicks. But in the matches that lead to penalty kicks, the percentage of success decreases. Because in these matches, due to the number of penalty kicks, less experienced players are also used. Inexperienced players are players who do not have enough experience in taking penalty kicks. For example, in the match between Iran and South Korea in the quarterfinals of the Asian Nations Cup, even though Rasul Khatibi was considered a player with technique, he had little experience in penalty kicks in national team matches. Which teams are more successful in penalty kicks at the end of the game? Comparison of the top 10 teams in the world. The statistics obtained from the final penalty kicks of the World Cups and European Nations Cups. German national teams. Netherlands, England, Italy, Argentina, Spain and other teams effectively show the role of coaches in planning and guiding the players. In the 1976 European Nations Cup, the German national team lost to the former Czechoslovakia in the final with penalty kicks. But after that all the matches that were won by penalty kicks defined has won. But the results of the Netherlands and English teams in the final penalty shootout have been very promising. This is not because the Netherlands and English players have low skills. Even some of the Netherlands players, England and Spain, have a very high individual technique. But also in the design and planning of coaches and the management of coaches and their experts. Review and analysis of the role, the effect of coaches' plans and plans in the penalty kicks at the end of the game. Usually, in the last penalty kicks, the role of the players, especially the movements of the goalkeepers, are shown in bold. All the movements of the goalkeepers and also how the players take penalties are analyzed by experts. While the effect of the coaches is less reviewed and investigated. The role of the coaches in the selection of players. The priority order of the selection of players is very important, as the statistics and penalty information of the last football games show. Review and analysis of Arrigo Sacchi's theory in penalty kicks at the end of the game. In the 1994 American Football World Cup, in the final between Italy and Brazil, which went to penalty kicks, Arrigo Sacchi, the coach of Italy at the time, used Roberto Baggio, who was Italy's main penalty taker, for the fifth last penalty. With this thesis that the first and last penalty is very important. Arrigo Sacchi's point of view is that the first and fifth penalties are very important and he kept his best penalty taker for the fifth penalty. Due to the fact that Arrigo Sacchi was a very famous and globally recognized coach, this thesis or method quickly spread in the football community. And many coaches welcomed and praised this method. This method spread so much that we even used it in local and low-value competitions. This is completely normal. Big and well-known coaches use different football methods. Different ways of playing are used for the first time by big coaches and big clubs, and other coaches and clubs copy that method. This method of copying or so-called imitation is common even among players. For example, after scoring a goal, Ronaldo performs movements that many other players copy, or even the way of standing behind a free kick. Some players perform the same movements. They give. It means that the scientific content and game methods flow from elders and prominent people to ordinary people. Arrigo Sacchi's method regarding penalty kicks at the end of the game is still welcomed by coaches and clubs. And some coaches even use it in very important competitions such as the World Cup or the European Nations Cup. But when the statistics and information of penalty kicks at the end of the game, we will find out how experienced coaches are caught in such a trap. I will give 2 examples to explain the problem. A Qatar World Cup 2022. In the quarterfinal match of the 2022 World Cup Qatar between Brazil and Croatia, after the end of 120 minutes of the match and the result was a tie, it was decided that penalty kicks would decide the winning team. Neymar was the main penalty taker of the Brazilian team, but according to the plan of Mr. Tite, the head coach of Brazil at the time, Neymar he had held for the 5th penalty but unaware that the match was over before the penalty kick reached Neymar. Mr. Tite used the same method as Arrigo Sacchi, that is, the best penalty taker. He kept himself for the 5th penalty. But it was not Neymar's turn to take the penalty. This move means that he lost the opportunity to take the best penalty with wrong planning. A mistake in penalty kicks leads to the loss of the team. And there is no compensation for that mistake. Every team has 2 or 3 prominent players who take penalty kicks. When a team keeps its most prominent and experienced player for the last penalty, it must consider that there is a possibility that the game will end before the 10th penalty, and the statistics and the information of penalty kicks at the end of the game also shows this. It can be said that the last victim of this decision in a major international match was the coach of the Brazilian team, Mr. Tite, and the Brazilian team, the 5-time World Cup champion. Certainly, Mr. Tite is not the first and the last coach who adopted Arrigo Sacchi and failed. And in the future, other coaches will also follow this method. B. European Nations Cup 2012. In the semi-final match between Spain and Portugal, when the result of the game was tied. According to the rules, the winner of the game must be determined by penalty kicks. Mr. Paulo Benito, the head coach of Portugal at the time, kept Ronaldo, who was the main penalty taker of the team, for the 5th penalty. But the only thing that happened to Ronaldo, it was a pity because the game ended before Ronaldo's turn and Portugal lost. Mr. Paulo Benito, the head coach of Portugal, fell into the same trap that Mr. Tite fell into, which is to adapt the method of Arrigo Sacchi. Brazil's Neymar and Portugal's Cristiano Ronaldo are 2 of the best penalty takers and prominent players of their team. And both of them score penalties during the game, but in the match that went to penalty kicks. According to the plan of their coaches, the 5th penalty was supposed to be played by them, unaware of that the game ended before the 5th penalty. This is the first mistake in the design and planning for the penalty shootout of the last game. At the end of this program, I request you, dear viewers, to express your opinions and criticisms as well as your questions in the comments. Also, support this channel by subscribing.